Joining me now is Bob Ward, pollster and partner at Fabrizio Ward. Bob, thanks so much for joining me once again.
Thank you, Brittany. It's good to be back.
You have a poll hot off the press in Maryland. A new AARP poll shows that Vice President Kamala Harris has a really comfortable lead against former President Donald Trump in Maryland. Tell us some of your takeaways.
Yes, the race is not close on the presidential side, and that's to be expected. I mean, Joe Biden won Maryland in 2020 by 33 points, and we're seeing Harris ahead of Trump in Maryland by currently 32 points. So not a big surprise. What is the surprise in Maryland, however, is the closeness of the Senate contest. So open seat, Democratic Senator Ben Cardin is not running again. You've got former two-term Republican Governor Larry Hogan as the Republican candidate going up against Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. We have that race dead tied at 46%, which is a really interesting feat. Hogan has won statewide in Maryland, and he does it by appealing to Democratic constituencies. He is winning 26% of the Democratic vote right now. He's winning 31% of the African American vote. And so these are numbers that you just aren't used to seeing from a Republican candidate, but that's Larry Hogan's formula and how he became a two-term governor. And it seems to be paying off now in this Senate race. I think the other thing I would add to that, though, we are a couple months, out from a little bit more than a couple months out from the election. Angela Alsobrooks just really is not known to much of the state. And so as you look at, her name ID and the number of people who just don't know who she is or don't have an opinion of her, she really has the upside here. Given the strength at the top of the ticket that Harris brings, as Angela Alsobrooks gets introduced to voters in Maryland, you might expect to see this race widen from a dead heat. But that's depending on what kind of campaign she can run to introduce herself. And Larry Hogan is not running as a traditional Republican. We see lots of his ads here on TV, and he doesn't mention Republican, and he mentions that he's independent all the time. And frankly, it seems to be working right now.
So we have in Maryland, Vice President Kamala Harris beating Trump more than double digits. And you have Larry Hogan, who's a Republican, in a tie with his Democratic challenger. Is this because of his popularity as governor in the state?
Absolutely. Larry Hogan is well known to the voters of Maryland. There are a few people who don't have an opinion of him. And not only is he well known, but he's well liked. And so if we look at, his favorable, unfavorable numbers in Maryland, he has a net positive image among Republicans, independents, and Democrats. Democrats have a 57% favorable, 29% unfavorable view of Hogan. On the other side, he has been attacked by Trump. He's not been a Trump supporter. And there are 26% of Republicans who have an unfavorable view of Larry Hogan, too. Most of them are still voting for him. But he appeals to a broad, cross-section of the Maryland electorate. And his performance as governor, is showing here as he tries to become a U.S. senator.